If you're looking for inexpensive and easy meal ideas, you have come to the right place. Welcome to Meals with Maria. Today I have 3 recipes from Dinner on a Dime. This cookbook is a gold mine for very easy, very inexpensive meals. We loved all 3 of them, and I know you will too.
Got my trusty meat masher here. See, even though it's cooked on the sides, it's still frozen in the middle, but that'll be okay. Like I said, this is going to be forgiving. I always link this down in the description box if you're looking about getting one of these, even though this isn't the best example of how it works, but it is working to break it up. And I just find that I really am happy with how it breaks up the meat. It makes things a little bit easier for me. It's not super expensive, so it's just a great little kitchen tool to have that I do love. I'm just going to drain out the fat here. I just like to use a little paper towel and the tongs, and that actually takes out. See how easy it is? To this, we're going to add 1.5 cups of cooked rice. I just have some brown rice here. I have my spices. I've got 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of minced onion, or 1/2 teaspoon of ground mustard, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/8 teaspoon of black pepper. Just gonna put that right in there. You want a tablespoon of Worcestershire. We're just gonna eyeball that. Worcestershire is so good with ground beef. And then I'm gonna add 1 can of stewed tomatoes, which was perfect because I just had this random can of stewed tomatoes in my closet, and I was like, what am I gonna do with these? And I found this recipe. I was very happy. And then the recipe calls for 1 can of green beans, but I don't have a can of green beans. I just have frozen green beans. So I'm just gonna throw in about what I think looks like about a can of green beans. I think this is a forgiving one, and we're gonna mix it all together and let it cook for about 5-10 minutes until everything is all warm through and all the flavors are good. Okay, now that this is at a boil, I'm gonna cover it. And we're gonna reduce the heat to low and cook it for another 5 to 10 minutes. All right, it's been probably 8 minutes. I didn't time it exactly. This looks good though. It smells delicious. I like that it's like not heavy on the carbs. Like it has some vegetables in it. I think we're gonna like this. I guess I really haven't had a lot of Spanish food, per se. It doesn't really remind me of Spanish flavors, but maybe if you are Spanish, you can explain why. Maybe just someone named it that just for fun. So mixed reviews, I think it's great because it has Worcestershire and I can taste it, and it tastes, you know, flavorful, salty. And Dan says he doesn't think it tastes like anything, but I think maybe his nose is stuffy because it's delicious. So see what the kids think.
I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
Next up, we're making a delicious roast beef and gravy. We're gonna get started with this roast beef and gravy from our cookbook. Super simple. We're looking at only 4 ingredients, so I'm really excited about it. So I snagged this chuck roast on sale, manager special. So it's quite a deal for the amount that we're getting here. And we're just gonna mix everything together. So just got a bowl here. We're gonna use 2 cans of condensed mushroom soup. You want these to be undiluted. What I'm hoping is gonna happen here is that we're gonna get like a really nice thick gravy, which sounds really enjoyable to me right now. 1 package of onion soup mix. This is actually just the Aldi brand, so it's a little bit cheaper than the Lipton, but I haven't really been able to tell the difference. And then you can use cooking sherry or beef broth. I happen to have sherry on hand, so I'm just gonna use it just because I don't use it that often, and I'd rather use up something that's older. I do have beef broth, but I wanna save that since it's newer. Kind of using the first in, first out method, I guess. So just use your oldest items first. It's a little lumpy, but that's gonna be okay. It's definitely not gonna stay like that. I can smell it already. It has a lot of flavor, and I think that's gonna be really important because we're seasoning this entire chuck roast, and it's not small. My chuck roast is about 3 pounds, which is perfect because that's what the recipe recommends. And I think most of the ones that you're gonna buy are gonna be that size. So I'm just gonna set this for 8 hours and we're gonna come back to it and see what it does. 8 hours on low. This was done at right about 8 hours and it was absolutely perfect. I actually waited a little bit until my husband got home from work to serve it, so it's not quite steaming hot when I'm breaking it up. But once I move everything around and get to the middle of that delicious chuck roast, it falls right apart with 2 forks. My favorite thing about this, I mean, besides the perfectly cooked meat, is this amazing gravy. It is as good as I thought it would be. I'm so pleased with it. This is definitely something to make if you love the Mississippi roast, but want to try something new, or maybe you just don't have what's on hand, to make that, and you have these things instead. This is definitely up there with that, and it's something that is 100% craveable. It is so delicious. You have to make it. My husband absolutely loved it. Tonight we are trying this sausage macaroni bake, and the reason that I chose this is I got a pound of pork sausage on sale this week at my local Hannaford for $2.50 a pound, which is such a good deal. But pork sausage in general is very inexpensive, and I happen to have elbows from the Dollar Tree that have been in my closet for God knows how long. And again, elbow macaroni. So 2 things that I just had. I do have a little bit of pepper. It's an orange pepper, so we'll chop that up. Obviously, we can do chopped onion. We're going to double this recipe too because this says it's 2 servings. And tonight, Dan is working late, so it's just the 4 of us. Yeah, there's 4. I can count correctly. So between me and the boys, this should be absolutely plenty when we double it. Again, such a budget-friendly recipe though, like not a lot of ingredients. Again, I had tomato sauce on hand. I've got Parmesan. I have water, shocking. So I think we're going to be in great shape, and it's not going to take very long either. Very excited about this. So this is what I have left for a pepper. I'm just going to chop this up. You ever start cutting something and you're like, why am I doing it this way? Like, I never cut onions like this in this weird fashion. And now I'm using this strange technique. Oh well. So that's a couple tablespoons. I'm kind of hoping we have a little more than that because you guys know how I feel about onion, but it might be right on track. I've got the water started for the macaroni, and I think while that's cooking, I'm just going to cook up our sausage. So I'm just going to brown up the sausage. I should have cleaned my cooktop. I was cooking earlier on here. I was making some bacon. You can see that. Glass cooktops. I actually just posted something on my Facebook about how to clean a glass cooktop properly, and I need to take my own advice because, yeah, but I figure we're just going to cook right now. It's going to be a mess. It's real life, and I think it'll be okay. I'll clean it after. And if you haven't invested in the meat masher, this is your sign. You can snag one from the description box. So the recipe says to drain it, but there's really just not a lot of fat in here, so I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to add in the peppers, onions, adding a half a cup of water and 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. Went about a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano and 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. Mix everything really well together, and then you're going to bring it to a boil, which mine is pretty much at a boil. I'm going to reduce the heat to just simmer it for 5 minutes. I'm just going to add the macaroni right into the pan with the sausage, and then we're going to transfer it to a baking dish. This cool little plastic thing here I actually got from Temu. This is exactly what I thought it'd be good for, and it's working amazing. You also want a couple tablespoons of Parmesan. There can never ever be too much Parmesan in my opinion.
Me either.
You love Parmesan, Julian? Julian says he also agrees that there's never too much Parmesan. So I think this would be great if you had some mozzarella to either add inside or put over it. I am out of cheese today, so I just have the Parm, which is fine. We're going to follow the original instructions, but
again, just like Parm, I mean, there's never too much cheese, right?
Yep.
Julian again agrees. We're just gonna pour this right into our casserole dish. We're gonna put another couple tablespoons or however much you like or you have over the top of this and bake it at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. Is that totally necessary? Not sure, but I'm sure it will help the flavors all, meld together.
I want to thank you so much for being here today. If you're looking for some more inspiration, go ahead and click on this next budget meal video. And remember, the next time you're on YouTube, make sure you're watching Meals with Maria.